Yo, what's good? Griff13 here, back in the day, and today I'm just going to bring you guys a little bit of information about my trip to Louisiana. As some of you guys do know, the last 2 weeks I have been out of town. I actually ended up going to Louisiana for some job training. It was a good trip, I would say. There were some interesting things that happened, some good things and some bad things, and I just wanted to sort of share what happened with you guys. As some of you guys may be curious, I don't know. So, anyway, though, let's go ahead and hop on into it. So, the first day, I actually went from Arkansas down to Louisiana, and it was sort of like just get there so that I can spend the night in Louisiana and be ready to go the next morning for class. Well, I get down there, and on the way down there, I actually did get to stop at one of my favorite restaurants, which I've been missing a lot because the closest restaurant of this brand is now 2 hours away from me, and it's Chipotle, guys. I love Chipotle. Absolutely love Chipotle. It's so good. So good. I love getting myself like some steak tacos or some steak or a steak burrito. Oh, it's so good. Well, there was one on the way in a town called Texarkana, which is sort of like right there on the Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas border area. I ended up stopping technically on the Texas side, so even though Louisiana is right underneath Arkansas, I did have to drive through Texas technically to get there, which is kind of an interesting fact. Kind of interesting, but I did get Chipotle, and that was really, really good. Unfortunately, though, they had a data breach like the day after I got there, so who knows? I might need to get a new card, which is gonna suck. But anyway, that's not really that's one of the bad things that happened. But then we get to the next day, and the next day, we just got our first day of class, and everything just runs kind of smoothly. I wake up a little early because for some reason the hotel's breakfast ends at like 9 o'clock, or was it 8? I can't even remember the time anymore. It was early, and class that day didn't actually start till 12:30 because I wanted to give some people the opportunity to, maybe drive down there from their office if they need to. So they didn't. It ended up not starting until like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and everything was just going smooth, just nice little class. But then we hit day 2. Day 2 is when the computer issue started. So, day 2 was the beginning of us sort of learning how to use this one program that we're going to have to use later on in the future. And the first half of the day, though, which is kind of lucky for me, was getting everybody who did not do like the homework, because there was like this pre-work assignment that we had to do before we even came down, that we were supposed to do anyway. And a lot of people didn't do it, so the first half of the day was actually getting everybody who didn't do it to actually do it, which is kind of a good thing for me because I was having computer issues. Now there's normal internet, and then there's like sort of intranet. I don't know if you guys sort of get that, but some companies, they have like their own like interior networks that only employees can access, and that's sort of what was going on with me. Is I'm still kind of new and all that, so I wasn't actually able to access the network, which ended up being sort of like it was a disaster. So it actually took me most of that first day in order to actually get it to work. And there was another person who's sort of in the same boat as me who was having the same issue, and they actually never got hers fixed, which kind of sucks because I could connect to the normal internet, the hotel conference room, but I could not connect to the network or the intranet sort of deal. So that really sucks because a lot of what the work we were doing was on the internet, and you could not access it via the internet without having like a certain password and all that, and yeah, just kind of sucked overall in general, but we got it fixed for me, so overall I ended up having a pretty good experience, I guess, and I learned a little bit, so I guess that's really all that matters. But this was actually in a town called Alexandria. Now, Alexandria is sort of a smaller town, I would say. Although it's maybe not a smaller town, but a smaller city, because, like, for example, I consider my town to be a small town, which it has only around, like, 3,000 people or so. So it's kind of small, really small, but Alexandria, I think, had a total, I'm actually going to consider it Alexandria Pineville because there's 2 cities that are separated by a river. Both are kind of like small-ish, but combined, I think they have a total population of like 57,000, which isn't really all that tiny, but it's still small enough where it's like, oh, Yeah, because remember, guys, I lived in Columbus, Ohio for a long time. The population in Columbus is 1.2 million, so the difference is pretty staggering still. So we get down there to Alexandria, and I stayed in my hotel room. After the computer issues, didn't have any issues with the class anymore. But I did have other issues though, which kind of sucked. The second to last night I was actually staying there, I wake up in the morning, and technically I only got one more night to stay. And I wake up in the morning, and there's a cockroach in my room, which I'm not gonna name the hotel because I don't want to have defamation lawsuit on my case or something like that. But there was a cockroach in my room. I tried to step on it because I'm like, what, if I can step on this, I'll be okay sleeping in this room again, because there's only one. I didn't see a bunch of them. If I saw a bunch of them, I would have freaked out a little. But there's only one, so I was okay with it, and I stepped on it. Thing is, though, I didn't kill it. I lifted my foot up, and it ran behind the dresser, and that's when I said, okay, I'm done. So I packed up all my stuff and went up to the front desk, and they were really nice. They were apologetic about the issue, so I guess that's cool. And they gave me a new room, so everything worked out in the end. But the one thing that sucked about the rooms, though, I didn't have a refrigerator. Now, I haven't had a hotel room without a refrigerator in a very long time. A very long time. In fact, I didn't even know they still existed, rooms without refrigerators. So, apparently, though, one other person that was also with the company who was here at this conference deal, she was staying at the same hotel as I was, and they asked her if she wanted a refrigerator. I was not asked that question, so I didn't get one. And we paid the same rate. So that kind of sucked a little bit, which means I wasn't able to actually go out and do any grocery shopping or anything like that, because that would have helped a little bit. I could have saved money on lunch instead of having to go out and buy lunch. That would have really helped, but oh well. What's done is done, I guess. But yeah, I guess. And Alexandria is kind of an interesting city. I did eat some crawfish while I was there. For those of you guys in Europe who don't know what a crawfish is, a lot of people here in the U.S. call them mud lobsters, and it's sort of like a small shrimp that lives in freshwater. Usually swamps, creeks, rivers, or as some people pronounce it, a crick. I don't know if there's actually a difference between a creek and a crick, but I don't know. I don't think there actually is. So I was eating my crawfish, right? And the smallest size that they had was 3 pounds. Now, mind you, a 3-pound thing of crawfish actually isn't all that much, because that includes all the shells, because you got to de-shell them yourself. So I actually didn't get the boiled ones because I thought, I don't want to have to de-shell 3 pounds of crawfish. Plus, eating crawfish, I guess, is more of a social thing. So I ended up just getting fried crawfish, which was just a plate of french fries and fried crawfish. So it was pretty good for about the first half, and then the second half, it kind of just tasted like a dirty asshole. I know that's sort of really kind of descriptive, but it didn't taste very good after a while. It tasted like a swamp, and it was just nasty, and I ate it all. No joke, I did end up eating it all. It wasn't too bad, but it had this weird flavor to it that I just did not find pleasant, but yet still edible. So it was expensive stuff. It was $14 for that plate. So I'm just screw it, I'm eating it, because I didn't want to have to go buy something else. So anyway, after the crawfish as well, I ended up eating frog legs too, which was kind of an interesting experience as well, because if you've never had frog legs before, they usually serve them 2 different ways. One way they serve it kind of like a chicken wing, where they just give you 1 leg at a time, and it actually tastes quite a bit like chicken. No joke, it does. Some people say it has a fishy taste, but to me it just tasted like a chicken wing. But the way that this restaurant was serving them, because it was actually a seafood buffet sort of deal, so they had so on their buffet they have fried catfish, frog legs, shrimp, and I'm you know what, I've never had frog legs, might as well try them. So I just grabbed 2 at first. I ended up eating a lot more than just 2, because they're small and they're pretty good. They're actually really good. But the way they served them was you actually got the entire back half of the frog. So you ended up just getting 2 legs that were still connected to each other, and you had to take them off the back and then eat them. And it was actually really good. So kudos to the restaurant that was selling frog legs. I enjoyed them. So that was actually though in the next town. I don't think it was. That wasn't in the first town. But I will say Alexandria had a very interesting car culture, which is maybe what you guys sort of want to hear about a little bit. So you guys probably know that the modern style right now is having everything flush, having the tires all flush. What the hell? Oh my god! Is like having all the tires flush with the fenders, and you know that's sort of the style, or some people call it like slammed or whatever you want to call it. So the style though in Alexandria is kind of old now, I would say, and all their cars were donked. If you guys don't know what donking is, it's kind of like lowriders, but the opposite, where instead of taking an older car and putting really tiny wheels on them and having crazy suspension, you use the stock suspension and put really big wheels on them. So I think the smallest wheels that I saw that were not stock anyway were probably 22s, and that was probably on a Crown Vic, because Crown Vics, guys, are probably one of the most common cars that I actually saw down there. There were Crown Vics, some Escalades, there was a couple Mercedes, like, and these aren't new cars either. These are like older used cars. And the biggest wheels though that I saw, no joke, there was a 10-year-old child standing inside of the wheel. That's how big these things were. Like, it only had 3 spokes too. I think you guys could probably imagine what I'm talking about if you've ever seen like one of those lifted cars. And it was painted candy red. So that's another thing that I've noticed is sort of like goes hand in hand with donked cars, is they do like a candy paint job. So it's like a bright color with huge wheels, just huge wheels, and they're sort of like rubber band for tires. Like, it almost looks like someone just got some rubber bands, painted them black, and put them on the tires, or put them on the wheels, because I don't think you could fit a whole lot of air inside those tires. Like, it's pretty funny. So I didn't really see anything else besides that and pickup trucks. So kind of an interesting experience. I did enjoy it a little bit, but so the Saturday though, that we left Alexandria on a Saturday, and we went 2.5 hours north, sort of towards the Arkansas Louisiana border. And when we got up there, you know, we had a class in the morning, and then we went to go check into our hotels. Well, I'm going to tell you the story about both me and the other people that stayed at a different hotel. But my hotel, we had about 12 people from the class that were staying in this one hotel. And that's because there wasn't really a whole lot of options available. We were actually half an hour away from our area where we're actually going to be doing our training at. But yeah, there was no hotels around. So 12 of us ended up staying at this one hotel in one city, and the other half of us ended up staying at another hotel in another city. And we were half hour south, and the other group was a half hour north. So, but our experience was kind of interesting, because when we were checking in, it took us, no joke, 2 hours to check in. Just 12 people trying to check into the hotel took us 2 hours. I can understand an hour because 12 people is a lot, and that would be about 5 minutes a person. And there's a certain reason why. So the first person checks in, and then the person that was behind the counter decided, well, I gotta count the entire register now. So she ends up counting the entire register, and that takes probably a good 15 minutes or so. And then she checks in another person, and then she leaves, and she goes into the back, and no joke, comes out with like 4 bundles of bananas. I don't know, is that how you measure them, bundles? So she comes out with 4 bundles of bananas, probably about 6 on each one, and she like peels them apart. She doesn't peel apart the banana, but she like takes them off the bundle and starts counting them individually. And she does this, no joke, like 3 times. It was crazy, and that took another 15 minutes. And then she finally starts, like, you know, checking us in. She gets maybe 3 people in, and it's still taking longer than it should, but it's starting to speed up a little bit. So we get almost through the line, and you know, I'm probably about 5 people behind, and we've already been here maybe an hour and a half. And there's Anna again, just telling me, hey, there's no more fans to collect. Yeah, I know, Anna, okay. But we get probably about 5 people in line now, and all of a sudden, she gets a phone call, and she answers the phone and everything like that, and she just starts freaking out for some reason. Like, I don't know what was going on, who was on the phone, but, like, she takes the phone and throws it behind her back into the wall, and I'm pretty sure she probably put a dent in the wall, because it was actually a pretty strong impact, because she was stronger than she would look, so I will say that. But the one thing is, though, is that we were sort of wondering what was going on, what was wrong with her, because there was obviously something up, like maybe some kind of mental issue or on drugs of some kind. And another guy who we were working with, he is actually an EMT, and he started telling us that, you know, she smells like meth. And so we assume, although I guess it's not right to assume necessarily, but we think that she might have been on meth and been coming down off her high or something, because she was like tweaking out and it just wasn't good, and she did smell like something. I just don't know what that smell was, and I guess it was meth, according to the one guy that we were working with, because apparently he's had to give like that overdose drug to like people all the time, which I think is for heroin, but of course he's also had to like treat meth overdoses, so I guess he knows what the smells of drugs are. I don't know, but so that was that interesting experience. So finally we get all checked in, and I think for me in total it actually was 2 hours and 15 minutes. And behind me there was still there was a couple that walked in after us, and then another guy who had walked in with us, but he had actually left to go out on the run, came back, and there were still like 3 people in line waiting to get checked in. So we get all checked in, I go up to my room, and then I leave, go get dinner. Which is where we actually went to go get those that buffet where I had the frog legs that night. So dinner was good. I came back, went to bed. Next morning I wake up. I've got a little bit of time before I have to be at my class. Class starts at 8:30. I think I woke up at like 6. Went downstairs, ate breakfast, came back up, got on my laptop, and I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, check YouTube comments and talk to you guys, because I wanted to like interact with you while I was still gone, so I'm just not like an empty person who's not here. And I sit down in the chair in the room, right? And there's an ottoman right in front of me. So I go to put my foot up on the ottoman, but before I do that, I notice that there's like this big stain on the ottoman. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of gross. And I get up, I take a look at it, and I think it was blood. Like, it was like sort of this dark brown red sort of deal that was going on. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to go now. So I left early for the class. I ended up leaving a note saying, like, you know, just either clean this up or replace it, because I just don't want this in my room. It's disturbing. It kind of made me a little sick this morning. So just take it out. They got it all taken care of again. So I was nice in it. I probably, you know, I said, please. I guess that's all you can do, I guess, in that sort of situation. But I came back, it was all clean, it was all good. I did not put my feet up on that ottoman, though, because I'm just like, ugh. Just the thought of it possibly still being there, or, because, like, if it was blood, you know, the only way to clean up blood is bleach. And if they didn't use bleach, well, I still don't want to put my feet up. So I don't think I ever sat down in that chair. In fact, later on, I actually pulled the couch cushion, or not the couch cushion, the chair's cushion up, and look underneath it, and there was a big old stain underneath the chair, which, if you guys want me to, leave a comment down below, and I will post it to Instagram, and you guys can go take a look how disgusting this was. Like, it was just bad. Luckily, though, it was cheap, so, but the worst thing is, though, is that these 2 hotels that I stayed in are national chains. Like, they're well-known establishments. Like, no joke. Like, I've stayed in them before, and they're usually pretty nice. I've never stayed at these 2 exact locations, but it was not a good experience. Like, when I went to move down here, I ended up staying at one of these as well. but that was like in northern Arkansas. It was really, really nice. Like, you know, they had a saltwater pool and all kinds of good stuff, and it was a great time, you know. And this time it was just bad, like really, really bad. But I guess if you stay in hotels long enough, you're gonna have a bad experience at least one time. Oh, excuse me, damn. But yeah, so it was an interesting experience. I would say that. Of course, some of you guys know, like, I go out in the woods a lot, and I ended up getting cut up because there were a lot of briars. If you guys don't know, briars are sort of like this prickly plant that's out in the woods, and I went hiking, and yeah, I got cut up quite a bit. Probably should have turned around, but I didn't. I decided not to, so. But yeah, overall, I think I had a good time. It was an interesting experience. I definitely learned a lot. I don't think I ever want to go back, though. Especially not to those hotels. And the only reason I stayed in the first hotel, though, which really wasn't all that bad, because, I mean, it even had some perks. Like, they had a cook at breakfast that made us omelets and breakfast burritos, and that was pretty cool. As well, there was also a open bar. So any guest over the age of 21, because the drinking age in America is 21, for those of you guys in Europe, you got 3 free beers or 3 free glasses of wine per day. So yes, I did take advantage of that. That was pretty good. But it wasn't like a good sized beer. I think overall, all 3 of them would probably be the size of a normal beer, because the cups they gave it to you in was about the size of like a Dixie cup mixed with a red Solo cup. So somewhere in between there. Like those clear plastic water cups that you get water from at restaurants sometimes, like they just have like a clear plastic cup and like, here, you can put water in this. It was about that size, and it wasn't really all that good, and the selection wasn't great, but hey, what the hell, right? Free alcohol is free alcohol. So anyway, though, I think that's where I'm about ready to wrap it up. If you guys like the video, go make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you guys already know your support is so greatly appreciated. Make sure to subscribe for more videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.